Surprise! Welcome to Relax and Succeed TV. To be honest with you, I prefer to be on the other side of the camera as a producer or writer with a fantastic team of professionals making my work look really good. But necessity is the mother of invention. Obviously, we're all in a really unusual set of circumstances. And it also felt like it'd be worthwhile to make a more personal connection with each of you that have been reading me for a long period of time. These will essentially become blogs. But how I normally do the blog process is I would sort of extemporaneously think out the idea several times, work through it and refine it each time, and then sit down and type it when it's getting fairly close. So most of the writing is done in my head. So what you're going to see is like the first draft of that where I'm extemporaneously thinking through the idea. And I think this is actually valuable to do in front of you all because it'll show you the process I go through and that it's imperfect and, I'll want to double back and fix things. And that's why writing is rewriting. So we see very polished things when we look at the world. This is why Instagram has proven so stressful for young girls because it presents things that we just can't deliver. Not everybody can look like they do at weddings. Not everything sounds like a speech. And this is why we need a lot of tolerance and graciousness while people sort of fumble their way forward like we all are right now. So obviously, tons of us are freaked out and worried. If you think I'm not, I am too. I have no idea how I'm paying bills, like tons of people. Where I am, it's been economically depressed for a really long time, since about 2014. And so we've been really struggling here even before this. This is really making it even more difficult. There was tons of businesses here where the owners had not been taking a salary out of them for years. So obviously getting a percentage of your salary is not very helpful when there was no salary. So these things are scary. I don't want to play down the fact that a bunch of us, or especially contractors in the world, are really dealing with a very difficult situation. So, but that said, I don't want to ignore the fact that every coin has two sides, and that, if we really stop and think about it, we've gotten exactly what we asked for. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but again, the way reality works, the things we ask for don't often come in the forms that we imagine. And so we didn't imagine this coming as a crisis, but what we wanted dealt with was some kind of action on the environment. We wanted to figure out how people to drive less and fly less, how to use the internet more for meetings and things like that. There was a bunch of studies done around the world by every kind of government of every kind of ilk, both sides of the spectrum, and they all found that income worked. Okay, there's obviously tons of people that don't like this idea. It might have taken decades to test it on a grand scale. But as we all know, every country's testing it right now because they have no choice. And so we may find that there's all sorts of unintended benefits out of that we didn't go looking for when we executed that. So we'll have to see. I know in all the tests, the healthcare benefits were actually substantial from the lowered stress. And I think most of us can relate to that right now. So there's going to be these upsides in science. There's going to be these upsides in society, in public planning and public health. I mean, as it is, we're already so lucky that Bill Gates and the group at WHO did all that precursor work based on SARS and Ebola. We're really living off the efforts of those people now. And so huge gratitude to all of them. And that 15 to 20% of you that are still at work that are keeping the rest of us going. People growing our food, providing our energy, and making sure that just the basics get handled, including the medical care. So again, huge thanks to all those people. So those are the societal benefits, but how can we benefit personally from going through this? And I can honestly think of no better situation than where we can intellectually see that this is providing us opportunities for a bunch of positivity, but that intellectualism doesn't sit well with us, right? We're kind of still in shock and we need time to absorb it. And so if what we can do instead is we can take this opportunity to do this thing that I always encourage people who work with me to do, which is get comfortable with discomfort. It's what we have to understand is it's our resistance to the discomfort that's actually causing the suffering. However much pain's there is inevitable, but we will add a bunch of suffering by wanting to reject the pain. So you can see how very understandably governments around the world did not want to react to the science of the biology because they were worried about the science of economics. These were very realistic clashing things before we realized how serious this was. So the fact that all of us are going through those uncomfortable exercises and really taking a month to go through the process of being in shock about this, that's an opportunity. That's a whole month. Now, the reason this is shocking is because your brain's trying to wire everything new, right? Like everything has got to be new based on this. It's incredible. And so your brain's just going to take a while to do that. You know, the fact that it takes people 30 or 40 days to just get accustomed to how serious this idea and what it means to their life before they kick into that active mode where they start becoming themselves again. That's just kind of an inevitable thing that our brains need to do. But while we're doing it, we should understand that that's the same kind of feeling we have when we go through a divorce or lose a job for any other kind of reason, or lose a limb, or suffer a health crisis, or lose a family member. These are all massive changes to our reality that require us to rewire our brain. The process ultimately takes years, but the main and most difficult part of it is in the first 1 to 3 months, where a lot of that early wiring has been done and where we feel the most insecure. It makes sense that we feel that way. There's a lot of insecure things going on. But at the same time, there are these very real opportunities for us to use this to our advantage and find ways that we can use this to grow so that when we come out of it, we will actually not only be better people, but for those with children, they will have taught their children how to live that way much more consciously about how they feel and about how they talk about things like discomfort. And so we will see big benefits from this. So I think in the end, the world always was in everything together. And now, like happened in World War II, everybody kind of got reminded of it at the same time, and that all these other things are really sort of superficial, and we now know what's essential to us. And I actually think that's a good thing, because we've always been living with this level of uncertainty. The wise people in the world always knew that. But most of us didn't think so. And now that we found out that we do live in uncertainty, maybe what we can do is get good at uncertainty. I wish you well with all that. Have a great day. And if you got any feedback that you think can make these better, please feel free to let me know. Send me an email. Scott is at relaxandsucceed.com. Thanks, everybody. Take good care. Stay healthy.